Welcome, travelers and adventurers, to the Eye of Plenty, where stories are told, info is shared, and goods are traded. We are thrilled to have you join us on this fine day. Pull up a chair, let us treat you a drink, and settle in as we entertain you with our stories.
Your humble hosts for tonight are none other than Owen and Liz, guiding you through another chapter. So, get comfy and enjoy the warmth of the fire, brought to you by Voices in the Tavern.
Our second episode, Owen. That definitely did not take like 5-6 takes for that intro.
It probably did.
Oh my god. I felt a little silly.
Well, happy April Fools to those who celebrate it.
Yes, happy April Fool's Day. As what we love to do in D&D is love to prank our friends. Even if that's pickpocketing, even that's opening a chest and it ends up being a mimic. That's a fun, classic April Fool's Day joke for the DM to pull on you.
Or having one of your players shave another character's beard.
Yeah, for those who know what we're talking about, you know.
But, you know.
Yes. Other than that, today's episode, we are actually going to be talking about the campaigns that we have been in and our characters and such. We actually saw a comment on YouTube and we was like, let's take that into consideration. We want to listen to our listeners and definitely talk about stuff that they might be interested in as well.
Yes, and we thank those who have listened to the first episode.
Yes.
We appreciate at least having some sort of recognition there.
Mm-hmm. We definitely were shocked that we actually got a couple of views, especially like on YouTube, and actually like some views on Spotify. Because I know like Spotify, you always have to like pay for premium, blah blah blah, but we're not going to go into that.
Nope.
But yeah, first campaign, like full-on campaign I've been in was I think my freshman, sophomore year of college. I'm going to assume. I can't really place it. I think it happened kind of in between. And like I believe I mentioned briefly in the first episode, I was playing a paladin named Isabella. Started with EZZA and then Bella at the end. It was a little fancy. Forgot her last name. She was the paladin. And basically her backstory was that she was part of the Cult of the Dragon, which is a whole thing in the in one of the pre-written stories, the Horde of the Dragon Queen. The DM, who's a dear friend of mine, his name is Mr. Vlad the Man. That's his Discord name. I always go by Discord names because they're fun to say, some of them. And he ran that for us. Unfortunately, it did die down, but it was I think it was, I gotta say 15 sessions, but it got really juicy. Especially one of the segments in that campaign was, what was it? We had to fight a blue young dragon in a keep. And we were like level 2, level 3. So that was fun. But it was part of it. Like, we were supposed to fight it and it was supposed to like fly away afterwards as like 2 of our party members went down. So that was fun.
Sounds a little familiar to when I started getting back to fight the 5th edition of Dungeons and Dragons. But for me, the first campaign that I've done was with my dad and the rest of my family. But we were playing the first edition of the game.
Wow.
Yeah, my dad was the dungeon master. My cousins were playing a fighter and rogue. My aunt was playing a ranger. I believe my stepmother was the cleric. Don't know what my brother was, but I remember I was playing the wizard.
It was definitely a family bonding experience, huh?
It was. We played a few good sessions, but then we stopped playing due to schedule conflicts. The one thing that you have to endure with when playing this game.
Yeah, D&D and scheduling is the one thing that sucks because you definitely need to make sure there's like 4 to 5 hours of absolutely nothing during the day. I know sometimes it can be easy for some people, but there's also people that work, so sometimes their hours can be a little wonky. Right now, I'm currently in some campaigns that are like late at night because that's the only time that works for everybody, which is fine. I'm more of a night owl, so it works for me. So the latest, I would say, for one of the campaigns I'm in is 10 o'clock, but we end around like 1 o'clock in the morning.
I can't stand being up that late. The only times I'm actually up that late is either when I'm waiting for the ball to drop on New Year's or I'm at some party that goes off during the night and there's an easy place for me to just sleep and rest.
Yeah. I think the second one, it starts at like 8 o'clock, but then it ends around like midnight, which is okay, which is 4 hours. Sometimes well, funny enough, I actually had my first session, which for the 8 o'clock one on Sunday, and we ended around like 1 because I introduced my character. So that's the most recent campaign I'm in right now. It's actually pretty fun, especially how I built my character, because me and the DM was like, oh, like how can we spruce up the party dynamic. I don't want to say too much though, because there's not a lot of information out about my character right now, and for those players, I don't want them knowing a lot.
Nice. And there's that one campaign where we actually met, but I was actually there for a little bit longer. Our dungeon master, who was the librarian on our campus,
Yes.
He does a Dungeons and Dragons campaign that's based off the history of the past, but a bit more magical and fantasy-like. So, like say like 1500 Spain or something, there's wizards and dwarves. So when I joined in, we had a Goliath artificer or something that we call him the Tinkerer, and he has this like halfling bard with him.
I think I remember them too. Yeah.
Then we have this Triton barbarian who acts all noble like.
Yes, I remember that.
And we had an Eldritch knight who was a half orc, I think.
Okay.
Then we have a ward forged. We call them Numbers.
Which was fun. I do remember that character when I came in.
And then there was me, who was playing a Turtle Wizard.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I went with that class because, one, wizards are one of my favorite classes to play in Dungeons and Dragons, and two, I chose the Turtle race because while wizards have bad AC, the Turtle has a natural armor class of 17.
Which is amazing.
And a nice little defensive play since wizards are all weak and shrimpy.
Have you ever tried, even before I joined, have you ever tried to see if any of your stronger players can just throw you like a shell, like in Mario Kart?
What, or fastball special? Maybe?
Yeah.
No, I have not had that experience.
That would have been funny.
Yeah.
Just tuck in and buckle up. Fastball special. That's all you need.
No, but if they did do that, I'm sure my character would be like, I disagree with this whole thing.
Just keeps on spinning.
Or I fully protest to this idea.
Yeah. I remember when I joined that campaign, I wanted to play. It's such a stupid idea, but I was like, oh, what if I played a character that was based off my zodiac sign? Because I'm a Sagittarius, and Sagittarius it's a archer, and also it's a fire sign. So I was like, oh, let me play a Fire Genasi Ranger. It's
clever.
It's clever, but it was also dumb. I totally forgot her name. I don't remember it. But yeah, she was a ranger. It was fun because I definitely was able to play the ranger, and know the ranger is an unpopular opinion because not a lot of people play it. But if you know how to play it right, it definitely works. And you have to like with the ranger class, you have to see which campaign will work with it the best, or just play it and hopefully it works, because sometimes it will. And I remember I had another campaign with her. It was kind of a continuation to it a little bit. And I remember the player that was trying to remember, you said he was the barbarian, but he acted like the noble. That player was the DM of that. There was a whole story with my character running away from their nation. So I kind of based it off the Avatar: The Last Airbender type thing, because there's 4 types of elemental, which is fire, water, air, and earth. So basically, the 4 nations were at peace for sure, in the world that we were set in, I'll say. And basically she ran away because she didn't want to have the responsibility of being a noble or whatever. She was like, yeah, peace out. Or no, I'm sorry. She fell in love with another gymnasty. I don't think it was it water? It was water or earth, I think, or water or air. I don't know. It was one of the other elements, and basically, you can't really. I think like the whole thing with the nations. Well, I'm sorry, they were tribes, not nations. Let me clarify that. With the tribes, you can't date another quote unquote elemental unless it goes through like the council. It's the weirdest thing, but it makes sense because they basically went behind basically everyone's back and still basically it was like a Romeo and Juliet situation. Yeah.
And it almost sounds like that Disney Pixar Elemental movie as well.
That too, actually. I think it was the Air Genasi because I was trying to go off of kind of how the Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm just going back to that because I used to love that show as a kid. I think because it was like air and fire doesn't work together, or like air or fire earth that doesn't work together, or something like that. Because I was like, ooh, what's the two elements that hates each other, but they will stay neutral as long as everyone else is okay with it. Like once the council meets, they're gonna stay neutral no matter what. It's gonna be really interesting. And basically, what happened was, I ran away, but then they said that I like kidnapped their daughter or something. I'm like, I just ran away. So they kind of there was a part during the session that we actually went back to the tribes to be tried of my crimes, even though I did not actually commit them. So basically, I was like disowned from the family. It's a fun thing. That's the fun thing about D&D. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a fun one, especially the one that we met, because from that point on, that my interest of D&D just kept going up and up and up. Like that roller coaster is still going up. It's like steady now because I feel like I got everything that I love about D&D, and now I can stay on a steady pace with it. And definitely not be in like 5 or 6 campaigns, which will be ending by the end of the semester. And I'll probably be in like 2 or 3. So I'm cutting that in half, I'll say.
Yeah. Our history campaign was a weird but interesting one, especially when you came in. Especially after when our group made a tank in that campaign.
I remember that.
It was horrible, but oddly enough amusing. My character feared for that thing, even just being right inside it.
Didn't I come in when you guys were doing like a tournament or something, and then you were like, "Hey, come with us." I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And then they make a tank after that. I'm like,
"Yeah,
where am I now?"
Yeah, we were doing a tournament, and I was fighting in said tournament, and I think the tinker was making like off the book bets or something. And so they was being caught for it. So everyone in the party just fired up the tank/cart. Alright, we just hopped in. We just ran away from the city as outlaws.
That's one way to go.
Yeah, but my character, while fearing for his life, just hiding his shell, just being rattled around inside the car, was like, why is this happening?
Like its own ping pong machine inside, just ding 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 ding. That's all they hear inside.
Yeah, or since the character was also a little on the heavy side. He probably didn't move around a lot, but just maybe like shifted a bit, but not enough to cause a lot of force to rock the cart.
That would have been funny, actually, if it kept doing that. Because then the escape would have been... Something else would have happened, I'll say.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Other campaigns that I've been in, I'm trying to remember, because I've been in actually like a decent of them, but a lot of them I think I've been in 2 or 3 of them that was basically died out, scheduling problems. But I definitely had fun. There was one campaign that I did where I was a tiefling bard and a barbarian. Funny enough.
A barbarian.
Yes. And basically it was based in modern time as well. So it was modern time but magic.
Like Dimension High.
Yes. Dimension High?
Oh,
Oh, the Unsleeping City from Dimension 20. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, like the high school,
Oh, Fantasy High.
Yeah, thank you.
That's what it is. Yeah, Fantasy High and the Unsleeping City. It's like a mix of those. And basically her whole persona, her stage name was Triple Threat because she could sing, she could dance, and make music. And her whole thing is that her top favorite singer was Freddie Mercury. So I based her outfit based on that. So she was a blue tiefling. She had a white and gold mask. So when she was DJing or like anything that had to do with like music, she would have that mask on. And then she would have Brian's Tatar. I think that was the Tatar's name. And she had the Tatar and Freddie Mercury's iconic yellow jacket. So it was the yellow jacket that had like a whole bunch of buckles on it. And I also said that she also lost a leg. So she had like a bionic leg and she had it customized to make it look like the colors of the jacket. So she was very big on Queen, anything that had to do with... So basically some of the bard spells, I would always pull a line from any of the Queen songs and I would just sing that part. And then so for like Thunder Wave, it would just be me doing the beat that everyone does and We Will Rock You, like, you know, bang your feet and clap. Yeah, and it just basically it was always like a short burst of everything. And then for Bardic Inspiration, I had a couple of them, and one of them is We Are the Champions. Like, just that line, it's just my friend is like, we are the champions, my friends. And then I was giving them Bardic Inspiration. What other spells did I have? I had a couple of them. They were fun. And then there was another campaign I was in that kind of died out. And then I don't remember that one. But I had 2 in-person campaigns during the sophomore year. So there was one during the fall semester, and then there's one during the spring semester. Or I think it went that long. I don't remember. But yeah, those 2 were in person, and they were amazing. The people that I met, it was actually one of the members in the D&D club, but they graduated recently, or they just didn't have enough time. I forgot exactly. They asked me if I wanted to be in a group. I was like, hell yeah, let's see if we can find a group of people. And yeah, I played a halfling in one of them, and I played a warforged in another one. I was a halfling monk, and I was warforged monk. For some reason, I had a phase where I always had to play monk. But then I stopped after that. But yeah, that was fun.
For my previous campaigns before joining the club, when I got back into upgrading myself for the 5th edition of Dungeons and Dragons, we tried starting off with the starting adventure, like the Lost Mines of Phandelver, where we got some of my family members back together again. Mm-hmm. My cousins who played the rogue or a monk, and we got a ranger back from my aunt. Then I was playing a sorcerer that time, but as a dragonborn sorcerer. That's one of the first races I fell in love with when I saw the artwork for Dragonborn. We played once of that, then we stopped, scheduling conflicts. Then I tried DMing for it, but I couldn't find the right groove for it. Then we tried playing Baldur's Gate Descent to Avernus, I think. My brother DM'd that. Then me and my dad played two different characters, so we had like somewhat of a full group of players.
Okay.
So I was playing like a silent cleric dwarf for that, but I was mostly playing a human monk.
That's very interesting.
We got to a decent part way into the game, but then we stopped playing altogether.
It makes sense, yeah.
Then we tried playing the game again with just me, my brother, and one of my cousins. Then my dad was playing as the DM. We used the online site Roll20 to use the battle maps and such.
Yes. Oh, Roll20 is such a good platform. It takes a while to kind of like get the bearings of it, especially when you put your character on it. Like, you can use the character creator on there, but it's a little wonky. But at least, like, if you don't want to use that, it's fully customizable. So, like, let's say you have a full-on, like, homebrew class, you could just throw everything in that, which is pretty good. Especially when you want to put everybody else's character on it. It's also very interactive. Basically, you don't even need to click anything. You just have to click on the skill or click on the ability or weapon, and it does the rolling for you. And then let's say for like damage, you could just hit the button in the chat, and it does it automatically calculates it for you. Especially like with D&D Beyond, but if I had to say full customization wise, Roll20 is my favorite one, especially with battle maps and stuff, and it's still like updating too, which is amazing. I know right now there's some free like effects you could do on there now. So let's say you do a fireball, you can actually like show where it hits, and you can do like a little animation, basically, yeah, just a little or something like that. Or if you are doing like a magic missile, you can also do that as well. So, especially I like that they have different layers as well. And I know that on D&D Beyond, I know they have their maps and stuff, but like you have to subscribe to D&D Beyond. While Roll20, you can pick anything off the internet and put it in. Or you can draw it yourself, which is also amazing.
Yeah, the characters were only played for that version of Descent to Avernus. I was playing 2 characters again. I think my cousin was playing 2 characters, and my brother was either playing 1 or 2. But I remember my cousin was playing a rogue again, but he was also playing the cleric. My brother was playing a bard and a fighter. As for me, I was playing the barbarian and the wizard. The barbarian is based off my anger, since he's a dragonborn barbarian. It kind of fits with that. But the wizard, I kind of based him off Doctor Strange.
Oh, that's actually, yeah. That's the one thing you could do with D&D. You could always base it off of something. I think I based off, I'm trying to remember, I think I based off 2 of my characters based on, not movie stuff, but based on other D&D characters that people made. One of my favorite characters I made in a campaign, which actually was a full-on campaign, with actually the same DM. Well, funny enough, I started DMing the game, and then I asked him if he wanted to take over, and then he took over and finished the campaign, basically. So it was kind of like a 2-parter, because I was going based off a pre-written story. It was the Lost Mind of
Fandelver?
Yes. I was doing that. And then that kind of like ended because it was kind of like a short starter campaign.
Going from level 1 to 5.
Yeah. And I asked him like, hey, do you want to take over? He was like, yeah, I'll take over. And basically he finished it for us. And I introduced my character. Her name was Lucette. And I based her kind of off of when I first started watching Critical Role, their campaign. So I based it off of the sorcerer in there. And I'm not going to say any spoilers or anything, but that's the only thing I'll say about that.
Which sorcerer, Imogen or Lautna?
The lavender one. So Imogen, yes.
Okay.
That's it. That's all you're going to get from that.
Okay.
I don't want to keep talking, because if people are watching, they'll be like, oh, now I know what their names are. I kind of based it off of her because I wanted to... Mainly because I wanted to try the subclass that she was doing, which was Aberrant Mind. I think that was a sorcerer class I was doing.
Yeah, I think that is a sorcerer class from Tasha's Cauldron and everything.
Yeah. It was an interesting one because it's based on a lot of the mind abilities. And basically my character was mute, so she couldn't speak. So the only way she was able to speak was telepathically. So it was a little fun thing.
Yeah, I too made a sorcerer out of that class as well. He's mostly focused on mind games, so he likes to speak more telepathically. He can speak verbally, he just likes to speak telepathically more.
Yeah. And, so there's that one, and then, there was another character, I think it was a one-shot character, actually. Same DM, Mr. Vladman. I had a couple of games with him, because he was such a good DM, and he's very experienced as well, but he always never fails to surprise us. And there was a one shot when I was in Arizona, and I basically played the subclass that the barbarian in campaign 3 was. I was able, because he said that like, oh, you guys could be like level 12, so all the abilities for that class, I found it somewhere online. I basically made that all in Roll20, printed it out, and I played it. It was so fun. And honestly, the fun thing I did was that I was an Eldrin elf as well. I played the spring one, so that I could teleport myself or somebody else out of the way. So that was really fun.
And you said you were playing the barbarian from Critical Role's third campaign?
Yes, that's all I'm saying about it. I want people to watch it so they understand what I'm talking about, because it's a custom barbarian subclass that he was playing, and it's so good.
I agree. That's probably one of the coolest subclasses I've seen.
There's so much to it, but the only thing I would say about it is basically a wild magic barbarian, but it's more chaotic, I'll say. There's too much stuff to remember, but if you read the abilities, it's so easy to remember afterwards. It's so good.
I can see why Taliesin and Matt had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, I hope that you can release it.
I agree.
Like, I know that they're still, like, kind of in the works because it's not full on to, like, level 20, but I hope they can release just a few levels left in that. Because the only thing I have is on a wiki, because someone was paying attention to, like, the abilities, the details that he was saying. So I haven't really checked that wiki. Maybe I'll go back to it to see if they updated it, because there was, like, abilities and stuff. I'm not gonna go into it. But yeah, I based her off of that because I was like, I kind of want to have just a barbarian. It was so fun. I did, funny enough, in that one shot, I took the most damage, and another player did the most damage. Do you know what class they were? A rogue swashbuckler, and we also gave her a really powerful weapon, because basically she told us, hey, can you guys make a character for me? And me and my friend, we'll call her Miss Muggle. I'm not gonna call her by her full name, by her real name. And we both looked at each other. We're like, all right, bet. So when we went back to her apartment, we basically made a really powerful character for her, and she was a rogue swashbuckler, because every time when you are little feature for a swashbuckler, you use there's another way to use sneak attack, which is if you are basically dueling with somebody and nobody's within 5 feet of you, you could do sneak attack basically. And she played the swashbuckler that I wish I played it, because I was also a swashbuckler and something else, but it was, oh my god, I don't remember how much damage she did, but she did so much, and I took the brunt of it. I'm like, why the barbarian? Like, I get it's a barbarian, but like, god damn, I almost went down for the entire, I think I had like 20 hit points left, and I had a lot of HP. I had so much. I think it was, I forgot which level we were. I know we were like level 10, I think we were level 12. Because that was the, that was how much ability that was on the Winky. But I was like, hey Vlad, let me, what do you think about this? He's like, go for it. I was like, yes! But yeah, that was fun. Yeah.
A couple of fun moments for me in my past campaigns was back in the first edition game. We were going up against a dragon. I don't know what the coloration of it was, but while the main party was focusing on it head on, somehow I miraculously managed to sneak all the way towards the dragon, like all the way towards its tail. And even when I was there, he'd pay no attention to me, but we didn't know how much health I had left, but somehow me just stabbing a dagger into it just finished it off.
Which is amazing.
And I was a wizard then. You would expect a spellcaster to finish it off with magic, but no. I physically did damage to it.
I mean, also, it was 1 edition as well, right?
Right.
So, hopefully we can definitely talk more about 1 edition, because the first edition, because I want to know more about it, and how is it so different from 1 edition to 5th edition, especially talking about the 2024 rules, which I don't like. I know people have other like differences and stuff, but we are saving the best story for last. So last year, one other thing is with the 1 edition, spellcaster, right? How though? How
what?
Just how? How can a spellcaster with a dagger, which does what, a D4 damage,
a D4 damage?
Was the dragon like already almost dead?
Well, it was like on the cusp or the brink of it. Like, I probably didn't give my character enough strength, but I guess maybe on the dexterity. So I guess it may have rolled high or low low enough to actually manage to meet the threshold.
That's crazy.
I know. And keep and along the lines of dragons, in the Lost Mines of Phandelver, we actually had to counter a young green dragon up in a tower.
Yes.
And it was if I recall correctly, in the module, it was supposed to fly away after he hit a certain amount of health points.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I remember my sorcerer given the web spell. I prevented it from flying away.
Oh no.
And I think we managed to finish it off.
Oh no.
So, all enough, I guess, which is weird enough, for the encounters I've had with dragons, I've either managed to finish it off or prevent it from escaping.
And then the DM is just like, well, it's dead now. Because also, I think there was something else you also encountered at that tower. I think it was like an older, like, druid or something, right?
I don't believe so. I think it's like a bit somewhere else or a little later in that campaign.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten far with that one.
Yeah, I know, like, I finished the whole thing because I remember playing it. Because there was also another section where you actually encountered a quote-unquote retired Wizard of Thay, which is a whole other thing. But he was honestly pretty chill with my party because I was like, if they're going to do something, then I'm going to have him do something. It's just a cause and effect and consequences. DMs love consequences.
Consequences, consequences, as long as I'm rich.
Yes. So, I think we're saving a really good story, as this was very recent. It did end very recently. I'm very sad it did, but it was very good.
Yeah, it was very fun.
I ran Curse of Strahd.
And I was the Dungeon Master assistant for her.
Yes. And I think that was the first time I actually like ran an actual like full-on mini campaign, because we only had like 11-12 weeks to really do it.
To squeeze that all in.
Yeah, because it was only a semester, so it was only like a few months. And this was last year.
Last winter semester.
I thought it was the fall.
Well, fall, winter.
I mean, not the spring semester. I think it was the spring semester.
I think it might have been, yeah.
Because,
I think it may have been spring from last year.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was the spring because it was a little bit longer.
Right.
And, yeah. I think that was it, yeah. Because,
No, spring this year.
Or was it... Yes, it was the spring of this year.
Because I remember showing you the video of when I attended a convention from last year.
Yes. For some reason, it was last semester of this year, of my senior year. It was the last semester. Now I remember. It was the fall semester of this year. Right. Because one of the players in that is DMing a game now that I'm in.
Right.
So, now we got that covered.
Let's get back to the main route.
Yeah. Oh, wow. It's that recent. Now I'm sad again. But, I will say, we also made a server that has all the notes that our lovely player did, just giving them a little shout out. Because their notes are amazing, as basically it's their reactions to it.
And they're a little chaotic.
Yes. So, session 1, I was a little lost, but the players were very good. And we had a pretty big party, too. We had about, 8 players.
That's the max, at least.
Yeah, and then we had some, spectators watching as well, so that was fun. And I think session 1, I started them at level 1 because I was reading off from the book, but I was like, you know what, I'm gonna put my own twist on this, because I also watch videos and stuff, and one of the videos said to not run the death house. I was like, you know what, because I also read it myself, I'm like, it's a dungeon crawl, I want them to get on with the story, so I basically skipped that and said, at the end of session 1, I'm like, hey, you guys are level 3 now. I let them skip 2 levels. And, oh my god, there's so many memories with that party. I don't know where to start.
Well, you've been doing your best to DM me for the first time, and I was helping you out, trying to be the researcher, being the poster of the NPC pictures on our server, and also setting the mood or the ambiance for the area. There were a few times where I actually did my own personal sound effects that kind of spooked the party a bit.
Yeah.
Where a place there was no birds, there was somewhere a bird.
Yeah, for some reason. That was funny. Everyone kept laughing. They're like, where the hell is this bird? That was funny. And then it was like, huh? I gotta say, the one memory that kind of piques my attention is when they were in Strahd Castle. And if those players are listening, they know exactly what I'm talking about.
You know who you are.
You know who you are. And I remember that it was a whole thing with Strahd Castle because basically I was like, I'm going to let them explore the castle because why not? It's fun. As soon as we walk in, they split the party. One thing that you shouldn't do, but people do anyways. And we'll call group 1 and group 2 because that's what I did. Group 1 went to the side where the dining hall was because the door was ajar, so they were going to investigate that. The second group went to the chapel, which is on the other end of the castle. So they had a little trek.
And
the first group.
Yeah, Group A, one of the members decided to investigate a suit of armor.
They failed it and basically made the metal pipe sound as they played that. And we could not stop laughing for like 5-8 minutes because also another player pulled out the picture of a meme picture of a really sad hamster, and I lost it. Basically, they broke me because my face was red. I was tearing up, and one of the other players, their character got really mad at them, and of course, the player that made the the armor fell was a Warforged cleric, and his whole thing was like he really likes precious metals and stuff, so he was trying to take a piece off the
suit of armor.
Yeah, and
which caused the whole armor to collapse, and the sound just echoes throughout the halls of the castle.
Yeah, because the castle was silent. And of course, I told the other group, yeah, you hear some metal crashing. Because it echoed throughout the whole thing. And, the other party went to the chapel, and then they saw that there was like a ledge up there. So there was the chaotic party and the one that was actually being tried stealthy. So that was fun. And then the next thing is that they go inside the dinner hall. The door closes, and then I believe I said that, quote-unquote, Strahd was standing there. And of course, that same player that yelled at the Warforged was like, I am done, blah, blah, blah. Oh my god.
She went through this whole monologue.
The whole rant. And I just sat there, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, no, this is what's going to happen. And now thinking about it, it's just amazing. Oh my god.
Until they later realized that it's not actually Strahd, it's just a holographic magical projection.
Yes, now I remember. The door didn't close until the Warforged went up and tried to see if Strahd was went to try to touch Strahd, see if he was real. He wasn't. The door closes, and then she freaked out. She was like, bro, why'd you do that? Why? And of course, one of the other players really wanted the food. Spoiler, this food was not poison. It was actually actual food for you to eat. And then I think they were stuck in that room for a while in-game. Yeah. And because they couldn't find a way out. Because the door was locked. And they couldn't unlock the door. So after a while, after some failed investigation checks, because they kept failing for a little bit, they saw grooves into the ground and stuff. And they were able to figure out that the organ was able to move. So they did that. That happened. And they brought them to the lower levels. I'm trying to remember exactly. So that was fun.
We have the notes so we can review them later.
Yeah.
But eventually the party gets teleported into the dungeon portion of the castle.
Yes, that was later on too. I do remember that. Just fast forward, but go back a little bit. They all reconvened at one point. They were going to leave the castle. Who's actually there? Strahd. And Strahd was throwing a spell. I would say it was a spell of blight. I will put that out there. And he did upcast it, and he was aiming for the party. Beloved's bard. He was a nice guy. And then
the party loved him.
Yes, his name was Marcus. And the party's druid named Flint.
Who was part human, part plant.
Yes. There was a whole backstory with him. and he made the sacrifice to save Marcus. And
And
I
and
asked him, do you consider yourself human or plant? He said plant. For those who know, for those who know about the blight spell, you know about it. For those who don't know about the blight spell, it does double damage to anything that is plant. I think it's non-magical and magical plants, if I remember correctly. But it's anything that has to do with plants. It doubles the damage.
necrotic damage.
Yes. So, I told him I could do the average or I can roll for it. I forgot exactly what we decided, but it did knock him out. And he died, quote unquote, unconscious, doing death saving throws. So, after that moment, a bunch of gargoyles were coming in and they basically picked up the party.
Swooped in
And
like the
broke
monkeys from
and-
Wizard of Oz.
Basically, and broke up the party in the dungeons. So that was fun. There was two people, there was two sets of groups that was in the cells. Thank God for our lovely monk who was the Way of Mercy, kept Flint alive somehow. But he was still unconscious. He was still rolling death saves. My roll for death save is that you roll it privately to bring the tension up. Everyone hated that. I loved it. I love seeing their consequences come into play. But at the same time, I feel bad for them. But they know they had an excellent time.
Yeah.
And then there was two people that were in a room with a brazier. And basically, if they threw a certain stone into it, it teleported them to places. I had to kind of cheat the game and bet a game a little bit, but I was like, do not go to these places because there's no way to getting back. Because they were like on the other side of the map and not where they needed to go. And after a while,
They reconvened together and
from into the dungeon floor, because they were all on the dungeon floor, and then Strahd got mad because someone decided to take his diary.
burn it.
Well, they didn't burn it yet. They had the diary, and then I think like 2 nights later, then they burned it.
But
because they were reading it.
Yeah, but they got the book, but then Strahd got very angry and started Krog the undead, but one special little surprise from the dungeon master, she summoned a zombie beholder.
Yes, and I got the inspiration because here Owen had a calendar where it would give you different types of monsters every day, and for some reason the monster for
one of the days.
Yeah, for one of the days, it was because it was also funny, but it was just before like session and stuff. I think it was a couple days before session. I saw that, I'm like, interesting. Maybe I should bring that in. Funny enough, I had a toy of a small beholder that I could turn his eyes on. It was pretty cool. And I was like, yeah, let me use that.
She shared this with me, and I was like, Hugh.
Yeah, and then they all realized as well. They were like, oh no. I'm like,
so
oh,
they had to get the hell out of the castle, use the brazier to escape, which got them out in the courtyard,
yes.
I believe.
Yeah, and then there was a whole fight in the courtyard. That was fun.
Well, the more fun part is when they were trying to escape off the bridge.
Yes. Players know our previous players know what happened there.
It was chaotic and hilarious. There were so many dex fails to not fall off the bridge that everyone was just flailing to save each other.
Yeah, and then there was a point where 2 people failed and the bridge snapped, I think, or they fell off the bridge. No, 2 of the planks fell, and because there was like a 15 or 25. I kept increasing it because if there was more people on the bridge, the chances of it breaking was pretty high. So it started, I believe, at 5 or 10, and I kept increasing it by 5 for how many people were on the bridge. They kept freaking failing. So I'm like, I turned to one of our players who was a sorcerer of the draconic bloodline. Her name was Callie. I
thought she was a warlock.
Oh yeah, I think she was a warlock. Please excuse me. I think she multiclassed too. I don't remember exactly.
Mm.
We'll ask her later.
Yeah.
To actually confirm. And I told her that you really want to save these people. Me as a DM, I'm not killing anybody else. Like, you already had 1 death. And I think one of them was Flint as well. I think he was falling because it was the Warforged and no, he was a bear, so it wasn't him. It was him and it was somebody
the Bard?
else. No, the Bard was with the Paladin Jonathan.
Right.
Because that's when Jonathan.
It can't be the Tiefling Rogue either.
No.
So I know there was a bear. I think it may have been the Warforged.
I think so. It was the Warforged and somebody else. I know it was two people. And
the Druid, the Warforged, and
there was a couple. But I basically said that you want to save your friend, so her patron basically gave her a brief gift of beautiful like spectral like space wings, and basically went down to basically pick them up and bring them across the bridge. What that means was that and then she passed out afterwards because it's exhausting to carry two people. And another interesting part was a zombie beholder has 4 working rays, and I had the players roll what ray will hit them because it's fun.
Yeah. So at one point, one of the players rolled a certain number.
It was Marcus. Marcus.
One of we both looked at what the rays were like.
Yeah, we were like, which was a disintegrate ray.
I think it was the disintegration ray.
Yes, it was. I remember from the back of my mind because that moment was peak cinema. No, sorry, absolute cinema. And it was going to go for Marcus. So our player who's playing the paladin named Jonathan, the tiefling paladin, they asked me, can I block that? Because they had the ability of protection. Basically, you use a reaction to block it. I said, if you could roll for it. Funny enough, they rolled a natural 20. Everyone was cheering.
Respect the natural 20.
You have to respect it. But I will say, because I had to tweak it a little bit, but I'm like, I'm that type of DM. I'm like, if you're doing something cool, I'm going to have it work. Especially on the natural 20. I did give it somewhat of a consequence because basically the disintegration ray basically burnt through the shield and burnt the skin a little bit of our lovely tiefling paladin. So that was fun. But managed to save Marcus once more. So that was fun. 2 times Marcus was targeted by Strahd or minions.
And later on, or sometime when they were in the dungeon, they met one of the NPCs, which was a werewolf.
Oh, yeah. That was a whole thing. They hated him. His name was Emil. Because basically I gave a spectator an opportunity to play any of the NPCs, and they chose Emil. So I was like, cool, play however you want to play him. I did not expect them to play Emil such a douche. I was like, alright, this is how we're playing Emil. And then because they needed the wife of Emil in order to do the next thing.
To help them, yeah.
Yeah.
And at some point, the players got really annoyed with Emil, so I suggested to the dungeon master, why not pit him against a sparring match?
And I'm like, alright, time to spar, guys.
And then, they loved the idea.
Yeah. And then what was funny, the monk wanted to spar against him. So it was like, oh, this is going to go so well. And then I made it so that Emil had to roll something, or it would go to a bloodlust. Which happened.
When you're a werewolf.
Yes. And then, there was a moment where they had to try to calm down Emil, which shocked everyone. They're like, oh, shit.
Which later, they've started to gain some respect and understanding towards each other.
And Emil basically had to force out, I'm sorry to everyone, because the wife was like, you better say you're sorry. They loved the wife. I made sure the wife was a caring person.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, yeah, you better listen to your wife. It was the best thing ever. And then there was a argument because because after the fight, there was like a huge RP session. I really wish I had popcorn that time. It was so deep. It was so good. I was basically watching like a movie.
Yeah. At some point, there were some ships involved in that campaign.
We don't talk about that.
We will or won't.
We will. But I will say, for so there was a fight between Callie and Jonathan. I forgot the exact what was the whole thing about it.
Oh yeah, there was like real emotion there.
Yeah, and we had to do a cool down after that. We were there like almost past midnight because of that. We were like, are we all good? Like I think how we started is we were like, is everybody okay? Everyone was like, yeah. I'm like, you sure? I feel like we need to talk about this.
I know I wasn't there for that because it was going on for so late.
Yeah. I am going to because we made a server after that, and
we kept all our old recordings, our old notes from that session.
Yeah, so I'm trying to find the the session that it was. I believe it was session 6 because I know I made I made a song for it too.
Oh yeah. The Liz did some like songs to like rap to like sum up what happened in the past sessions. Some were catchy, some were interesting, some
I
not
found
so
it.
much.
Session 7. So what happened was I think it was session 7, yes. So the roleplay session was filled with deep emotions, dramatic reveals, and powerful character moments. Jonathan nearly got disintegrated, but Callie missed it, sparing him from her worry because Callie was basically like almost like the mom of the group or like the older sister of the group.
Right.
Like that's the vibe that we got off. And though the group got pretty emotional about the close call, and they had an intense moment where he almost like lost himself in the emotion, channeling vulnerability as other unpacked personal histories and insecurity. And then of course Flint dropped a huge bombshell about his past life. Callie revealed some painful family history. Also, Marcus was like the deepest one of all of them. I think Marcus and the myth, the rogue, was also a really deep one because they basically did not talk out throughout the whole campaign, but it was so good.
And they never revealed any of their backstory either.
Yeah, they were the only one that did not reveal any backstory. I gotta hand this to them. Speaking of which, of that player of Myth, they are just a little quick shout out for them. They were the one who made the podcast cover for us. We were supposed to give them the shout out earlier, but I think this is a
good time as any.
Yeah. So they definitely made us the podcast cover. So they don't have any social media or anything, but we just want to put it out there. Very well done.
Thank you.
Yes. And yeah, that was an intense session that I think we stayed there until like 1:00 in the morning. We had to talk, especially it was like towards the end of the whole campaign, so we were basically making sure everyone was okay and then talking about how well this campaign was, because I told the group towards the end, I was like, I held my tears in, I'm good, and I basically said like, thank you for making my time as a DM a really good time. So every time in any other campaign, we're like, it's like Strahd again. We can't never let go of it. It's so bad.
On the lines of Strahd, Callie,
oh my god,
she had the most unusual things after every time we've done our campaign. She dreams of Strahd.
Yeah, that player would tell us dreams that they had. I'm like, what? And then, of course, it was interesting. I will also say, Callie is the, in our server, we called Callie Strahd's D1 hater. That was an amazing role for them because she would always rant about Strahd or basically curse out Strahd whenever he shows up.
And there's one dirty name that she called Strahd, which I cannot remember on the top of my head. Like crop duster, something along the line.
Yeah, something along the lines of that. We could not stop laughing because it was basically every session she needed to have her rant. And it was amazing. I gave her time. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course there's me. I'm like, Strahd's not that bad. And she turns to me and be like, Liz? I'm like, what? But then I showed them the picture of female Strahd. I'm like, come on, she has to be a little bit hotter. Some people agree, but the player who played Callie's like, hell no. I'm like, god damn it. I will never be able to have them like Strahd. Just not even like just 1%, because I have a love-hate relationship with Strahd. Like, he is such, I think he's one of those villains, or the big bad, that is self-centered but can also explode if needed.
Right.
Like, he was, because in the story he basically invited them to dinner. In this, they basically went inside the castle. I was gonna do a whole dinner thing, but I'm like, I'm not playing a Strahd like that. Because throughout the campaign, Strahd would come and visit the party in a while, which has happened. And it did not, there was a time where he came, he's like, basically, give me back my diary and stuff. Because there was another artifact that they found there. I was like, can you give me my, basically he's like, give me my diary or y'all die. And he basically like knocked down like 2 to 3 people and then left. He basically jumped the party and then went bye-bye. And that really ticked Callie off. She was like, because I think Callie was the one that went down. I was like, in my head I'm like, Strahd probably is somewhat relieved that she's not talking anymore. Like, damn. It's so peaceful up here. Because also another thing is that Callie was one who picked up that amulet to give some protection. And of course Strahd talked to them. I was really hoping it wouldn't go to her, but I was like, it went to her anyway, so I sent her messages and she gave me the most disgusted look. I'm like, and I text her, you're the one who wanted it. This is what's going to happen. Because it was a sent amulet so that Strahd can talk to the person telepathically. But funny enough, Strahd didn't really talk to her as much because me as DM was scared to keep going. Strahd would have, but me, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have it as much.
How much do I love Callie right now?
Exactly. Oh, I was saying one other moment that was amazing. They were doing like a murder mystery. Remember that? When they all went through the portal? To meet the fey creature that's like...
yeah, Moth Riftweaver.
Yes. So with that, I forgot who saw the sigil, but they saw a sigil and they all linked arms and they all started to get pulled like towards it. The first one wanted to go in, the second one wanted to go in. I basically went down the line of who wanted to go in, who didn't. And basically it was a contested role to see if they want to let go or not. And unfortunately, I think 4 people went in, or like 3 people went in. And then the other 5 was like, well, I guess we got to go in now. And they met the, what is it?
The unusual planar being.
Yeah, that was fun. And, oh my god. Yeah. And then I believe he was like, oh yeah, I'll give you guys something if you give me something. And Marcus wasn't there that day. So Flint saw a teddy bear on one of the shelves and decided to get the teddy bear from Marcus. It was like a father-son moment. I love it. And then there was another deep RP session where they were at like an oasis, and Callie's always convinced that Flint
is married to a tree.
Yes.
That shares the same magical energy that he has.
Yeah, which was really funny. And then there was another moment, I forgot who was talking, and I basically said, Flint is just a log in the water. Everyone kept laughing. He like rolled a couple of times. He just la 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 la. So that was a fun RP session as well.
Yeah,
oh my God.
and did we say we will mention the ships or or not that much? It's
We
just
can quickly talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So Callie and one of the other characters, she was based off
a monster hunter.
Based off like Van Helsing.
Annalise.
So there's like a little bit of a spark or something between Callie and Annalise, and anytime there's any interactions, the players and the characters would not leave them alone.
Yeah, I will say I did talk to them both because I wanted to ask if it was okay. Because usually you have to, sometimes you may have to ask the player, be like, are we cool with this? Like, it started a little bit because me as a DM was like, why do I see a spark between them two? So I texted both of them, like, in a group chat. I'd be like, hey, I just want to bring this on the table. Do you think that there's a spark between these two? At first, they're like, no. I'm like, do you want it to keep going? And they're like, yes. Because there was a whole, there were some times where we had to do some text RP to save the time. And we did. And, I have to get that to the new server so everyone can see how that went. Because it was absolute cinema. And, so, because basically when they were talking, I kept leaving reactions. I was like, oh my god, this is so cute. And they kept saying, Liz, stop reacting. I'm like, never. This is awesome.
Yeah, and even as the players and the DM assistant, we just have to watch them like on a movie screen, like.
This is amazing. That was fun.
Yeah, and the players would not leave them alone. They would make stealth checks just to listen in their conversation.
Yeah, they always wanted to listen in. They always wanted to eavesdrop. They always wanted to be nosy. I will say, Kelly was also just a little bit nosy when other people were having conversations. So, there's some payback right there. But, yeah. Oh, wow. We've been chatting along for a little bit, but I think we covered a lot of fun moments in this in the campaigns and stuff.
Yeah.
There's so much to talk about, but there's also a lot that we can't really, remember, I'll say.
Right.
But just to put it out there, like, with D&D, it's not that you are in a group of people doing campaign. You're really making memories with friends.
And storytelling as well.
Yes, and the storytelling. And it's just, I always tell people, D&D is such an escape to reality. And when things are not really accepted in the actual society, just do it in the D&D society instead. It's a little bit more, it's better to escape from it, be another player, be another character for God knows how many months or years you do it. You know, campaigns can go on for months, campaigns can go on for years. Yeah. Even several years. There's still, there's that, video, just to put that out there. There's still that video. I think it was, 10, 15 years the campaign was still going. I have to look online because it's an interesting video.
Oh, which campaign?
I don't remember. No, it's just in general, it's world record of the longest campaign running or something like that.
Oh.
Yeah.
One of those.
Yeah. But, yeah. Well, that sounds like the final call for the Eye. It looks like we should be heading out and continuing our own adventures.
We thank you for joining and listening to our tales. We hope to see you again the next time we come by the Eye of Plenty when you hear our voices in the tavern.